Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. My name is the Prince of FNAF, and if you're new here, please consider subscribing. And of course, if you like the content seen in tonight's video, then be sure to hit that notification bell and like button. That way, you will indeed be notified for any awesome videos like this in the future. With that out of the way, let's get started with today's video. The Ankylosaurus has to be one of my most favorite plant-eating dinosaurs ever. Now for my favorite carnivorous dinosaur, the answer is quite obvious. I am very generic, and that is the Tyrannosaurus Rex. Now the genericness stops there with my choice of plant-eating dinosaur, which is, as you can see here with the Ankylosaurus, very unique. Now the most obvious thing that makes this thing cool is just the mass amount of armor plating and large spikes it has, looking almost like a turtle mixed with some kind of weird dinosaur. It is a dinosaur at the end of the day. It has these nice scoots on top of its head, and just the face. That is cute. You cannot tell me that that's not cute. So this is Schleich's new Ankylosaurus. I could have sworn that they did produce another Ankylosaurus that I had as a kid. I even bought it from a store that we had way back in the day. I don't remember what the name of the store was, but they were well known for selling Schleich figures. And I could have sworn that the Ankylosaurus I bought as a kid was part of the Schleich series. However, it was way different than this Ankylosaurus here, and it was a lot darker brown with some kind of chocolate brown spikes. It was pretty cool looking. Maybe it's just an older figure and Schleich stopped producing that Ankylosaurus in replacement of this new one. But yeah, you can see it's just nicely sculpted. There's no articulation. This is just a Schleich figure. So there's no going to be any articulation on this guy. But what you get in replacement of the articulation is this awesome sculpting work. The face looks really scared. I'd like to say that this Ankylosaurus is kind of in a battle-ready pose, but to me, this Ankylosaurus looks more panicky, like a predator is getting ready to take a bite out of his armor hide. You can see the tail is raised up, getting ready to smack the shit out of some attacking predator. You can see some skin at the back here, which is kind of stretched as this huge, heavy tail is being lifted into the air. You can see some awesome spikes on the back, which is something that the Safari LTD Ankylosaurus didn't have. It was just kind of some more scoot-like scales. We didn't actually have spikes, which I think is a cool contrast between each of the figures. You can see some nice wrinkles and kind of just more like scaling on the bottom of the creature here where it's a lot less armored. That's probably what the predators will try to do when going after said prey. They'll try to flip it over and take a bite out of that juicy belly. But yeah, pretty cool. As for the scales, they're not just your generic circles. There's big scales, there's small scales. There's even little pigmentations and imperfections in the scale. Like you can see darker tones. There's lots of dry brushing throughout the figure to really bring out these scales. And the one thing I do have to say that I kind of find weird about this particular piece is the back legs. The front legs aren't that bad, but the back legs look more like some sort of carnivorous theropod dinosaur instead of belonging to a low-to-the-ground, plant-eating dinosaur like Ankylosaurus. Just something weird, I thought. The legs look really out of place, looking like they should belong to more like a theropod than a low-to-the-ground, plant-eating dinosaur like Ankylosaurus. Expression in the face is pretty good. You can see the tongue in the mouth as it looks like it's screaming. So there's some nice armored scoots and plating on the back of its head. Cool thing I like about it is as the spikes go closer to the club of the tail, they ended up becoming more like armored scoots rather than spikes, which I can probably imagine would be to withstand the buckling of this large heavy mace tail when being whacked against the surface of another predator. But it is pretty cool. Anyway, I just want to go and do some size comparisons with some other Ankylosauruses I have in my collection. So let's get started with that. Alright, first and obvious for size comparison, Here is the schleich Ankylosaurus next to the Safari LTD Ankylosaurus. And you can see what I mean, what I talked about earlier, how these are two entirely different figures. You can see the different styles of the Ankylosaurus character, and you can see the two different companies' interpretation of this awesome creature. Next up for size comparison, here is the schleich Ankylosaurus next to a $5 dollar store Ankylosaurus. Not a bad size comparison indeed. Going back to the dollar store again, here we have the schleich Ankylosaurus next to a dollar store Ankylosaurus squishy, which smells of chocolate. Here it is next to some of those Jurassic World 2015 blind bag figures of the Ankylosaurus. Here it is next to the Jurassic World Dino Rivals Rorovore Ankylosaurus. And finally, here it is to the Jurassic World Camp Cretaceous Baby Bumpy. Anyway, this figure looks great displayed next to other Ankylosaurid type creatures, and you can see here it is with all of the other Ankylosaurus figures I have in my collection, and it definitely looks great. Now, if you yourself want to pick up one of these awesome schleich Ankylosaurus figures, they are surprisingly affordable. I went and got mine at Toy Traders in Langley for about $15, and I'm sure you could probably find one of these online for even cheaper. With that being said, hope you guys enjoyed our look at the Ankylosaurus from Schleich Toys, and with that being said, do take care and have a great night.